Hello, I'm Nancy Motrick. I'm a volunteer with the Harrison Township Public Library, and I'm going to read this book to you today, Ordinary Mary's Extraordinary Deed. It was written by Emily Pearson and illustrated by Fumi Kosaka. I would like to dedicate the reading of this book to my grandchildren, Addie and Finn, and to you too. So let's see what this is about. Ordinary Mary's extraordinary deed. She must have done something really kind. Look at this. Let's see. Well, Ordinary Mary was so very ordinary that you would never guess she could change the world. This ordinary kid, she did. She changed the world. One ordinary day, skipping on her way home from her ordinary school to her ordinary house, she passed an ordinary vacant lot filled with ordinary bushes growing ordinary berries, ordinary blue and juicy, luscious, lovely berries. Where are those berries? There they are. Well, Ordinary Mary picked those ordinary berries and brought them in a big brown bowl to Mrs. Bishop's porch. What? Left berries in a big brown bowl on Mrs. Bishop's porch? That sneaky kid, she did. This made Mrs. Bishop very, very happy. So she baked a big bunch of blueberry muffins and thought of 5 people who might have brought those beautiful berries. Then secretly, she gave each a plate. How great! 5 people got a plate. Well, one of those 5 people was her paper boy, Billy Parker. When Billy saw his name on the note and the driveway on the plate, he quickly parked his bike and ate every crumb. Oh, yum, yum, yum. He ate every crumb. This made him so glad that the next 5 people got their papers on the porch and not in the bushes where he often threw them. In fact, they were handed right to them. You see this? This is better. Okay. Well, one of those 5 people that got their paper was Mr. Morey, who was so amazed that he smiled for 10 hours on the airplane and then said to 5 different people who had very heavy bags, "Here, let me help you." And he still smiled, and they did too. Now, one of those 5 was Mario, whose cranky little boy James stopped crying when Mr. Morey played peekaboo with him until their ride came. And when he waved goodbye, Mario exclaimed, "How strange that a stranger would be so kind." And the next day, when he was out shopping, once, twice, 5 times he did something nice for 5 different people. 5 times without stopping. Now, one of those 5 was Joseph, old and bent and gray. He was in front of them in line at the produce stand. And when he said, "I guess I counted wrong. I don't need these oranges." And little James reached out to him with an orange from his basket. And Mario put a coin in his hand and said, "Here, take this. Those oranges are on us." As Joseph shuffled to the bus, his heart was full and his eyes were wet and his hands did helpful things for the next 5 people. Well, one of those 5 was Sahar, a college girl who was off to see the world and stopped at Joseph's shop. When her bag broke and her things fell all over the floor, she said, "Oh, what'll I do?" And Joseph said, "This is for you." And he gave her a new bag woven with his own hands in red and purple and green. "Oh, thank you," she said. "It's the loveliest bag I have ever seen." Then when Sahar left, she felt sunny as noon, and she just had to shine on 5 people soon. Well, one of those 5 people was Sophia, whom she met on a boat, looking like the world might end, looking like someone without a friend. "What beautiful blue eyes you have," Sahar said, "and they're just the color of the flowers in your lovely dress." Sophia said, "Yes." "Oh, yes," said Sahar. The beautiful blue eyes shed a happy tear. And when the boat trip was through, Sophia called 5 people to make them happy too. And one of those 5 people was Tom, her son, who was a doctor. He was having a very hard day. "Hi," she said, "I love you, Tom." "Well, how great to hear your voice," he sighed. "I always need my mom." Dr. Tom was so cheered up that on his next break, he bought a big bunch of bright balloons for 5 young patients, and he handed them out right then and there. One of those 5 was Peter, a little boy who went home from the hospital that very day. Gratitude for the big bunch of bright balloons filled him and thrilled him and spilled out of him and onto the next 5 people that came his way. One of those 5 was Eric, a teenage boy whose grocery sacks and such were way too much. One dropped on the sidewalk, and Peter stopped his play and rushed right over, saying, "Super Wheels to the rescue." Well, Eric, no longer stressed, was very impressed and made a mental note that very afternoon to help 5 people and to do it soon. One of those 5 was Di, his 10-year-old sister, who didn't have many friends and was painfully shy. When Eric said, "Hey, sis, want to come over to the park and learn how to ride my skateboard?" she looked at him wide-eyed. "You serious?" she cried. "Sure," he said, and because of her brother, Di decided maybe she could be a friend to another 5 others. And one of those 5 was Louise, a homeless woman who lived under the trees. She could hardly believe her ears when she heard Di say, "May my brother and I buy you a hot dog and a drink at the stand over there?" Oh, could it be true? Someone actually cared enough to give her food and a smiley-faced ring that was practically new. Well, Louise was so pleased that she decided that even though she had nothing, she would find 5 others and give them something. Well, as it turns out, one of those 5 was Amara, who lost her wallet in the park. Louise found it full of 5s and 10s and 20s. Oh, what she could do with all that money. But she found Amara's name and called her home, and over she came. Amara was so impressed that Louise was honest when money was something she clearly needed, that she'd offered her a job in her store and vowed something generous for 5 people or more. Well, one of those 5 was Kate, a woman on vacation who wanted to see a show she'd heard was a sensation. "Oh no," she cried, "it's sold out, but I'm going home tomorrow," and her face filled with sorrow. But Amara held out her ticket. I live here," she said. "I can go anytime. Take mine." Kate loved the show and was so touched that she thought buying 5 presents for 5 people at home would really be fun. And one of those 5 presents was a little heart necklace for Mary, her niece. And you should have seen Mary's eyes light up in surprise. "Mary? What? Ordinary Mary?" Yes, ordinary Mary's extraordinary deed had come full circle, and on its way it had changed the lives of every person living. You see, when Mrs. Bishop, there she is, and Mrs. Bishop made those muffins, and she gave them to 5 different people, And one of them was the paper boy. And the paper boy did something nice for 5 other people. And one of them was, and they went around and around and around, and it came back to Mary. Well, let's see. It took only 16 days for love to be sent to every person everywhere. And let's see how it went. I don't know if you can see this. Oh. So one person gave it 5. So 1 times 5 is 5. And each of those 5 did a kind thing for 5 others. So 5 times 5 is 25. And each of those 25 did something nice for 5 people. So 5 times 25 is 125. And it just gets bigger and bigger. And look at way down here. Look at this number. Whoa. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. 30 billion, 517 million, 578,125 people. Yikes. Well, 30 billion is way more than all the people on the planet. So everyone had a share and everyone knew that somebody cared. There was even a lot of love left over. The world has changed, and thousands and millions and billions agreed. It was all because one ordinary day, ordinary Mary did a perfectly ordinary, stunningly earth-shaking, totally extraordinary deed. Well, wouldn't it be great if we all did something nice for somebody, someone in your family or somebody you know, that would make them happy and you'd feel happy too. So thank you for listening to Ordinary Mary's Extraordinary Deed. And there's lots of other good books in the library. So thank you. Bye-bye.